Alright guys, Nick Thomas, Scope Training. And we're going to go through very, very quickly the top 5 mistakes that you're making right now in your projects. Number 1, thinking you're in charge. Hang on, I'm the project manager, I'm the head honcho, I should think I'm in charge because I'm up there and everyone else is down here. And by that, hopefully you're saying your project team, your stakeholders and so on, I'm going to tell them what to do because ultimately it's my project. Neg, you may be accountable for this project. It may be your butt on the line, your reputation if it fails. But this model is going to make you direct people. It's going to make you manage people. It's going to say, all right guys, let's all go this way. What happens when there's a roadblock? These guys are like, dude, that's on you. That was your idea. So in contemporary project management, this approach really doesn't give us many runs on the board. What works is putting yourself here and taking a more collaborative approach to project management. So instead of directing and managing, you're through collaboration, leading and facilitating. I usually find this becomes worse if you are the project manager and also a technical expert. You tend to say, guys, I know how to do this, I do it better, let me take over, step aside. So that's project management number 1. All right? Give your team the ownership, make them part of the project, sit on their level, and instead of saying making it your project, share the project love. So project management number 1, thinking you are in charge. Project management mistake number 2, not defining the scope. And this I find across every project, across every industry, we start off with a very poor scope definition, we fund a poorly defined project, and then we cry when it doesn't work. Let me draw you a picture. This is what most projects look like. All the inclusions and exclusions haven't been really well defined. There are all these holes. All these holes create points of contention between the project manager and the client. The client says, look, there's uncertainty here, I want to add more things, and the project organically creeps. Project manager is saying, hang on, I'm in control of the budget. I don't want this to creep because I can't afford it. And the project manager says, I'm going to put a stop on that and make the project scope smaller. The stakeholders come in with an unsure understanding or unclear understanding of what the actual scope is, and they play to their expectations. They're like, well, there's ambiguity here, there's a bit of uncertainty. I'm going to take that and say, let's do it this way. So if your project doesn't have a clear objective, your stakeholders are going to make it their objective. If your project doesn't have a clear scope, your stakeholders are going to start defining the scope for you. And if there's capacity for that, great, but it should be done right at the start of the project where value for changes is high. What often gets done is people start noticing this chaos towards the end during implementation, and during the finish of the project, changes start happening everywhere and projects fail. So number 2, not defining the scope properly. Project management mistake number 3. You guessed it, doing the work. Hang on, how is that a mistake? We need to get the work done. There's a difference between project managing and managing the work or doing the work. So if you think about it, if you've got a business, you can either 1, do the work required to service your clients, or 2, do the work required to get the business going and managing the staff for that business. Project management is all about working at the higher levels of the work breakdown structure and managing things here. Then assigning the roles and responsibilities to people so they can actually do the granular stuff, the actual work. So a project manager shouldn't be actually doing the work way down here somewhere. Again, I'm not having to go technical people here, but technical people seem to be the worst at this. And quickly, the rationale behind it is, hey, I'm an engineer. I'm actually better at doing the engineering than you are. So I'll just move away from managing everything else and I'll start micromanaging you, which makes you feel awesome, and I'll start doing the work. So you step aside and go somewhere else. So project management mistake number 3, doing the work instead of managing the project. Number 4, hiding the plan. This is what a lot of project managers have and can communicate to people about their project plan. An empty sheet of paper. Look, I've got a plan, it's just in my head. It's doing no good in your head. Take it down, for God's sake, just put it on paper. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, just something practical. You've got a charter, you've got a schedule, you've got a budget. That's more than about 80% of what people have. The way I like to roll is I like to have a plan that's clear enough that I can give to someone else and they can implement the project just like I would have. It's impossible to make things work, especially when other people are involved, if everything is inside your head. And project management mistake number 5, last and not least, not learning from our mistakes. I can't stress this enough. The majority of organisations I go in and look at their frameworks and do consultancy for don't have any active learning systems. Some do, and when I talk about this, people say, yeah, I know, our lessons learned. And it becomes something that we associate with the end of the project. No, do it at the start of your project. Research, look at other projects, similar projects that have had gains or successes within your industry, outside of industry. Look at what made things work and didn't work. Yeah, sure, grab the lessons learned from your own organisation and others, and that's a great starting point. But try and learn from projects that have occurred prior to yours before you start replicating their mistakes. And yes, obviously, do a lessons learned, but don't leave that to the end. Make a cumulative lessons learned, so ongoing. As something becomes known and it's worthy to be communicated to other people, make a note of it, compile it, because it's a lot easier getting all these notes and adding them all up than trying to reflect back on 2 or 3 years of project history and saying, guys, what did we learn? So progressive lessons learned work really well in here. So they're my top 5. Assuming you're in charge, not defining the scope, doing the work at a very granular level, not managing the project, not sharing the plan, not communicating enough, and not learning from our and previous mistakes. Let me know what other tips you've got and what other project management failures you find in your industry. Alright, hope that's been enjoyable. Have fun, guys. See ya.